Okay, hello students. We will continue model number 5, design methodology. In previous lecture we have started this model number 5, design methodology, and we have discussed about the various points of this design methodology. That is, first we have discussed about the design flow. Into that design flow, so you know that what is the meant by design methodology. Design methodology, it is a systematic approach of design, verification and preparation for implementation. So we have discussed about a simple design methodology or prototype design methodology. So into that we have discussed about the first point, that is you will get the requirements and constraints from the market or from the customer or from the design engineer itself. And then we have discussed about the architectural exploration and the partitioning. Okay, the first part, so we have discussed in detail, that is what is meant by architectural exploration, and then we have discussed about the partitioning. Okay, so we have discussed about one example of the partitioning. Okay, then we will continue first part, that is physical design, that is functional design and functional verification we will see. So after that we will see about the synthesis and post synthesis verification, then physical design, and then we will stop today's lecture. Okay, so what is meant by functional design? Actually functional design, it is a top level of the top down process, or architectural design and partitioning, it is the top level of the top down process. We can decompose each component, into sub component. So every component will be divided into sub units. Okay, unless and until the complexity of that model or complexity of that unit is not manageable. Okay, so each component is decomposed into subsystems so that the complexity is managed. The next point is that we have to develop a Verilog model such that it will express its functionality. And after expressing its functionality, okay, in case of a functional model, it is not give detailed description about its function, but about it how to implement it. So main function of the behavioral model is the verify its functionality. So to verify the functionality, we have to write a test bench program for it. Okay, so once the test bench program is written, and then once we check it is the working as per our requirements or not, or it will fulfill its constraints or not. Okay, then functionality will be expressed into intermediate level of abstraction, that is RTL level. We can say that is RTL level means register transfer level of abstraction or gate level of abstraction. Some test bench model can be used to verify the functionality. Okay, now in order to implement given component, there are several approaches. So there are various approaches to implement one of the component. So first approach is that we have to design a component right from scratch. So new design implementation you can do it. Okay, but it will take more time to design. So instead of that, we will go for the next another process is that reuse component from previous system. So already previously designed systems are there. From that system we can use the some components. Okay, so the some components will be designed by a vendor, that is the intellectual property that we can use it, and so it will give advantages. That the advantage of this is that it will having less design time or less efforts will be there, reduced design time will get, and verification time is reduces. Already the proven or used component we are going to use as it is. If suppose the no reusable component or there is no intellectual property is there, then we have to design a component right from scratch. Okay, so likewise new design will be there. Okay, so here we need to put extra efforts, and we have to put some time for the verification of that component. Okay, so another approach is that the core generator. So core generator, it is the another approach, and this core generator approach is nothing but which is a EDA tool. Okay, so core generator, it is a EDA tool, and it uses commonly functions available into that. The commonly functions such as memories, ALUs, bus or bus interfaces circuits are there. Okay, so or you will get the DSP processing blocks, or you will get the finite state machine blocks. For example, the finite available FSM is that a Xilinx core generator will be there. Okay, so another technique is that revision management technique is there. Okay, so along with development in the hardware, so there is a development into the software also. Okay, so we need to revise that various codes, or some of the times we need to revise the model also, and various designers are working onto that, and they will revise the code. So we can, so multiple design engineers revise the code, and it is called as a repository version. Okay, so usually there are the multiple designers working on a model code for a component. Everyone verifies the code or changes the code, and hence there is a revision into the code number of times. So therefore the revision management software helps to the coordinator, that is there, so to help the designer to manage this revised codes. If one designer can make the change, it may take difficult to different parts or different users to use the code. So that there should be a coordination, and this coordination will be done by automatically by an EDA designer tool. So this tool is called as some vendors it uses this tool, or vendor tool it is. Okay, for the revision management. So this is about the functional design, and then functional verification you will get. How to do the functional verification? That is, for that purpose we have already studied into the model number 1, that is how to do the functional verification. That, so in this case we will get the design under verification. So design under verification, into that you will get the, so behavioral model you will get, or RTL level model you will get, and then we have to check it. So it can be checked by using, it has two parts, that is the test case generator and it is a checker. So various test case we have to generate, and we have to check what will be the respective output for that. So there are 3 questions you will get. There are 3 questions you will get. What are these 3 questions? So which part should be verified, what is the functionality of the part, and how to perform the verification. Okay, what parts we have to verify, then what is the functionality, and then third, how to verify it. Okay, so first question is that which part, what parts we need to verify that. So we have to verify all the subsystems. We have to vary the subunits first. So it is a bottom-up process. It is a bottom-up process. So we have to verify subunit first, and then we have to interconnect the subunits. Again we need to verify it, and then we have to go for the up. Okay, so it is a bottom-up process of verification. Then second part is that what functionality we need to verify. So each component is to what function, and that we have to verify the what the subunit is going to do its function. it is very easy to verify each component. And if we go in the top level by checking the functionality, it's at the top level it is checking the functionality is very difficult, but at right from the bottom level it is very easy to verify the functionality. We use the coverage to refer the portion of the functionality. We use the functional coverage. What is the number of functions, that is for given number of codes, how much functions that can be verified. Okay, it refers the portion of the line of codes that will execute at the test for the given test. Okay, instead of this we will use functional coverage, but it is the harder to quantify how much amount of functions that are verified. Functional coverage includes the distinct operations that have been verified, the range of data values applied, the range of state of register, and the state of finite state machines that visited, and the sequence of operations. All these parts will be covered into the functional coverage. Okay, then we will go towards the third question, that is the how to verify it. How to verify. Okay, what are the plans for verification? That is, so here so there are number of techniques that we can verify. So first is that directed testing. The second is the concentrated testing or random testing. Okay, so in case of direct testing, under so where the design under verification, so we are going to applying so all the test cases. So it is simply for the simple designs. Okay, so design under verifications, so we have to generate all the test cases and we have to apply all the test cases to design under verification, and we have to check all the test cases outputs. Okay, so there is another method is that the random testing. Random testing is that, so in case of direct testing it is very complex when the number of inputs will be more or the system is complex. At that time it will be very difficult to generate all the test cases. Now it can be simplified by using random test casing. So instead of applying all the test cases, we can apply a very few test cases, and we'll apply the test cases, we'll check it if it is whether it is working or it not, we will check it, and according to that we will verify its functionality. Okay, for this case we will get a verification language that called is as a Vera or E language. Okay, so this is about the how to verify it. And there is also one more part of verification is that hardware and software verification. So in case of hardware and software verification, so we have to verify both, that is hardware verification we have to verify, hardware part we have to verify, and software part also we have to verify. Okay, there are various approaches for the hardware and software co-verification. One approach is that hardware and software parts are usually done by the separate peoples, and they will be verified by the separate peoples. Okay, so there are two layers. So one is the hardware layer, that is the lower level, and that will depends upon the hardware, and application layer, that is isolated from the hardware level. Okay, so lower layer is called as a hardware abstraction layer or board support package. It is called as a board support package. Okay, so hardware verification and software verification we have to do it. Okay, so then next part of the design flow, it is the synthesis. Okay, synthesis. After functional verification, so we have to go for the synthesis. So next step is the synthesis. So it is the automatic refinement of the functional design to a gate level netlist. It is automatic refinement of functional design to the gate level netlist. Okay, so for the most of the designs, so synthesis can be performed automatically by using RTL synthesis tool. RTL synthesis tool. Then what is the RTL synthesis tool? Okay, so most RTL synthesis tools, it requires sequential hardware to be expressed by using always block. It uses sequential hardware, and the sequential hardware, it will be checked or done by using the always block, whatever we have written into the module. Okay, so most of the synthesis tool, it requires the sequential hardware, and that will be expressed by using the sequential block. Early synthesis tool performs relatively simple pattern recognition on the HDL source code to determine which hardware is to be used. Then subsequent developments focused more on improving the quality and optimization of the synthesis hardware. Okay, so then IEEE, so to develop designer, so IEEE had refined two standard coding styles for synthesis or synthesizable models. First it is a VHDL, and another it is a Verilog language. Okay, so it is called as VHDL coding style and Verilog coding style. So IEEE standard, it is 1076.6, and Verilog coding standard it is IEEE standard 1364.1. Okay, so these are the two languages it is used for the synthesis, or it will help designer to synthesis. Okay, so then synthesis tool starts by analyzing the model. It also performs some design rule check, like it will check design rules, that is unconnected outputs or undriven inputs. Okay, then the synthesis tool infers hardware elements, that is which component will be designed, okay, which component will be implemented. This will involves the things like it will analyze wire and variable declared to determine encoding and the number of bits required to represent the data. How the synthesis tool, it will get the number of bit data will be there. Okay, so it will analyze wires and variable declarations. From that, it will determine the encoding and the number of bits required to represent the data. Then synthesis tool, it will use, or it will analyze the expressions and assignments to identify combinational circuit elements such as adders or multipliers or any other combinational circuits. It will analyze expressions and assignments to identify combinational circuits. From the expressions and assignments, it will identify which combinational circuit will be used. Okay, maybe adder, maybe multiplier, mux. Okay, so that will be generated by, that will be used, or that will be identified by using the assignments or expressions. Then next, synthesis tool will analyze always block to identify clock and control signals and to select appropriate kind of flip-flops and registers. It is nothing but sequential circuits. Okay, so synthesis tool will analyze always block, and from that always block it will identify clock and control signals, and also it will identify sequential circuits like flip-flops and registers. Okay, so this is about the synthesis. Okay, then we'll go towards next so after that you will get the post synthesis verification. So in the post synthesis verification, synthesis followed by the further post synthesis, and after that synthesis the given it is we have to verify the various blocks. Okay, so it will verify post synthesis verification, it will verify the implementation produced by the synthesis tool whether they will meet requirements and constraints or not. Okay, so if the some of the implemented they are not working properly, then we have to immediately redesign it, and again we need to verify that part. Okay, so that is synthesis will be followed by the post synthesis verification. Then next part we will see that will be the physical design. So physical design, this is the final stage into the design flow. So here we are going to refine the gate level design into the arrangement of the circuit elements in an ASIC design or in an FPGA design. So there are two types of physical design you will get. One is a ASIC design and FPGA design. So first we will go towards the ASIC design style, and then we will go towards the FPGA design style. Then what is this ASIC design style? In the ASIC design style we will go for the first floor planning, then placement, and then routing. What is the floor planning? Floor planning, it is the arrangement or placing of the subsystems or cells, whether we have to put the subcells or subsystems, where we have to, so for the components or the subsystem which will having larger size, so they will be placed near, that is a closer, and some of the components which will require the external connections, that will be put closer to the edge of the IC. Okay, also it will depend upon the placement and routing. So in case of placement and routing, we have to place the component such that so it will avoid the wiring conjunction. So it will minimize the wiring length, it will avoid the wiring conjunctions. Also it will depend upon the which type of IC it is. It is a dual inline package or quad flat package or pin grid array or ball grid array. Depending upon that, so complexity will go on increasing. But if it is so dual inline package but it is in rectangular shape, so it will take more area. If it is quad flat package, according to that we have to place the various components. Okay, also we have to see the what are the arrangement for the power supply. Okay, so what will be the local power supply, or there will be, we have to think about the global power supply and local power supply. Okay, so according to that we have to provide the connection for the power supply, connection for the ground, and we have to think about the internal connection between the different subsystems, sub units. Okay, so we have to think about the clock pins and distribution of the clock pins. Okay, so we have to think about the also clocks. Okay, and distribution of the clock. So we have to think that all the clocks it should be reached at every block will be at the same time. Okay, so that care we need to check. So this is about the ASIC design. And then in case of FPGA design also it will have the same steps, so as that of ASIC design, that is we have to also go for the floor planning, placement and routing. Okay, so same physical design steps, but we have to take good floor planning for the interconnections. So it is a field programmable gate array, so we have to think about the interconnections. It will have programming IO blocks, programming network will be there. For that purpose, we have to think about the IO block network connections, interconnection network. Okay, we have to take special care about the interconnections also. Okay, so good floor planning, it will reduce interconnections, and it will reduce the length of the interconnections. Okay, its length, and it will faster the performance, it will faster the design. So we have to think about the good IO block interconnections. Okay, so in this way the physical design, we can do the physical design, and also after the physical design again we need to verify once again. So after verification, whether the functional requirements or constraints it will fulfill or not, that we have to verify, and then finally we have to go for the physical implementation, and we have to go for the fabrication process. After the physical implementation and physical verification, we have to go for the, so that we have to give this total system or total file we have to give to the fabrication. Okay, so today we will stop here, and in the next video we will go for the optimization of design.